listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky Duraeus. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky Duraeus, right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We are going to be reviewing, of course, Monday Night Raw from March 27th, 2023. A lot of things happened on the show. Of course, it is the go-home show before the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania 39. Well, not necessarily technically the go-home show because, of course, we got SmackDown this coming Friday. But how did this show play out? Honestly, I wasn't really that big of a fan of this show, to be quite honest with you. There were some things on the show that I liked, some other things on the show that I really did not enjoy. We had things like a Miz TV segment that opened up the show, which I'm not really the biggest fan of Miz TV segments nowadays. We had the weigh-in between Brock Lesnar and Omos, one of the matches that I am not looking forward to at WrestleMania 39. Of course, we had other things on the show. Of course, we had the main event of Cody Rhodes taking on Solo Sikoa. We had a lot of SmackDown talent on this show as well. Gunther was actually on this show, and he basically beat the shit out of Dolph Ziggler. We also had Dominic on this show as well. Of course, that is building up to his match against his own father, Rey Mysterio. And he cut a very good promo on this show as well. But overall thoughts on this show, not really the best show in my opinion. Definitely looking forward to SmackDown because if you really think about it, SmackDown is basically the true go-home show to WrestleMania. But a lot of things did happen on the show, but nothing really special in my opinion. But we are going to be talking about this show and what my thoughts were on this show. But before I get on with all this craziness, make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the WrestleHavoc Podcast is also available on audio platforms. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to listen to the WrestleHavoc Podcast in audio format, it is available on all of those platforms. Also, if you guys haven't checked out episode 11 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast, it is up on the channel. The link will be in the description below. We go in depth and talk about CM Punk's deleted Instagram story, basically blasting AEW, and also just a lot of other craziness that is going on in the realm of AEW when AEW is actually going back on track. This basically happened at the worst possible time, and we will talk about CM Punk and a lot of other things on episode 11 of the podcast. So if you guys haven't checked out episode 11 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast, the link will be in the description below. All right, so be cautious. I haven't turned off the intro, so when I change the screen, yep, I knew it. That always tends to happen. I don't know why. I'm using OBS, but it always happens. But we're going to be diving right into Monday Night Raw. Again, it is the Raw side of the go-home show to WrestleMania 39. Overall thoughts, I'm actually very excited for WrestleMania 39. Has the build been the best? No, not necessarily. It hasn't been the best. It wasn't what I had hoped for, in my opinion. There are matches that I'm definitely excited about. There are matches that I'm excited about, but haven't really been built up really well, especially the women's matches. I felt like Bianca Belair versus Asuka, I don't know what the hell that build was. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair could have been built up a little bit better, in my opinion. But overall, I'm still relatively excited for WrestleMania. The one thing that I am very curious about is how I'm going to be watching all these shows that are going to be playing out, especially on Friday. I'm going to run into a similar situation, similar to last year, in which I'm going to either have to choose watching Supercard of Honor or SmackDown. It's going to be a very weird scenario. I'm still going to watch both shows, but I'm going to have to choose one because both are going to be live at the same time. My dumbass thought that Supercard of Honor was going to be live at 4 p.m., kind of like Final Battle, but that's only going to be in Pacific time. I'm Eastern, so that's going to start at 8 p.m., which sucks because I really want to watch both shows when I can, but I'm unfortunately going to have to choose for between one of the shows to watch live. So I will still review both shows. Hopefully, I can get that Supercard of Honor review late on Friday, and hopefully I can get that SmackDown review Saturday morning, but it's going to be a lot of stuff happening this weekend. It is going to be a big weekend full of a lot of stuff, of course. We are a couple of days left till WrestleMania. All right, let's talk about Raw. The Miz kicks off Monday Night Raw. Of course, it's a typical Miz TV segment, which I didn't really enjoy, in my opinion. He talks about how we all feel those WrestleMania vibes, and it's the final Raw on the road to WrestleMania. We will witness the host of WrestleMania, The Miz, and on tonight's WrestleMania edition of Miz TV, we will get down to business. And he brings out Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch. Of course, Lita and Becky Lynch are the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And then Becky talks about how she has a match with Iyo Sky, and she is the man, Becky Lynch. She works alone. Why does it feel like she couldn't do it herself and she needed to call all the reinforcements? Miz asked, and Becky replies. And she replies, she is the man, just like he is a man. And he sounds like he has an insecurely man with tiny balls. And Miz talks about how his balls are not tiny. They are massive, like his wife says. Then what happens? Damage control. She talks about how damage control had been a thorn in her eye, and she basically thought that all of this was over. She thought this was over at War Games, and then she thought this was all over in the steel cage match. But what happens is that they keep coming back. She doesn't get along with too many people, but they are two people that she respects, and when people fight for her, she will fight for them. Miz moves on. He asks Trish and Lita, why? Why now? Why now? Why make their return to play backup to Becky Lynch? And then Lita replies, she doesn't feel like backup. She feels like one half of the women's tag team champions. She does feel like she's been the best. Then Damage Control comes out, and they interrupt, and they said they have something to say to Bayley, or to Becky, I should say. She is so sick and tired of the three of them, and, talking about how this is just another match to them. To them, that being Damage Control, this is their life. Trish and Lita are still in this ring thinking that they meant something, but let's be honest, they meant something 20 years ago. At one point in their life, this would have been the ultimate dream match with someone who she came up with and two of her heroes. It's a different kind of dream. They can't accomplish crap. Now, their dream is to take out the top women in the division and two Hall of Famers. And then Becky immediately interrupts. She basically just runs down the entirety of Damage Control, talking about, since she has a match with Iyo Sky, she turns over to Iyo Sky and she says that she is doing nothing but being a lackey. All of them haven't done anything. She thought that this was going to end in War Games and then in a steel cage, but it can only end at WrestleMania. And that, of course, leads us to the match that we have between Becky Lynch and Iyo Sky. Overall thoughts on this Miz TV segment. Even though the promos that especially Becky Lynch cut were great, overall thoughts on this segment, I wasn't really feeling it when it came to this segment. Honestly, this is one of the matches that I just do not genuinely care about for WrestleMania. I like Becky Lynch, I like Lita, I like Trish Stratus, but let's be honest with ourselves. Putting the belts on Becky and Lita does not make the women's tag team titles any more important, in my opinion. I feel like those are just belts at this point. They really don't mean anything. Because if you really think about it, and I've talked about this ever since I started the channel, when it comes to the women's tag team championships, what are the points? What is the point of those titles? What is the point of the titles if you do not have any tag teams in the women's division? And when you do have women's tag teams in the division, there are only makeshift tag teams, not legitimate tag teams. And that is the biggest problem with the women's tag team championships. But enough to be ranting and raving about the women's tag team titles. Those titles are not going anywhere, in my opinion. We got Becky Lynch versus Iyo Sky. It was actually a pretty good match. Both were great. Becky immediately goes after Iyo Sky. Lynch goes for the Exploder suplex, and then she goes for the second Exploder suplex. Iyo Shirai is on the apron, but then she misses the leg drop, but then Damage Control pull her out. And then Becky grabs the hair of Bayley, and Iyo takes her out. We get a double knees. We get the double knees by Iyo Shirai. We get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Iyo Sky is in control over Becky, but then we get a drop kick by Iyo Sky. We get a cover by Iyo and a near fall. We get a kick by Iyo followed by a right hand, but then Becky fights back. Both fight it out, but then we get an uppercut by Iyo Sky. But then Becky fires back, taking out Iyo. At this point, both women are down, but then both fight it out. We get a kick by Becky, but then we get a clothesline by Becky, followed by a drop kick. After that, Iyo is on the outside, but then Becky goes for the baseball slide, drop kick, taking Iyo down to the ramp. Well, she doesn't really go to the ramp, but she goes near the ramp. Both are back in the ring. At this point, Becky is in control, but then Becky goes to the top. She misses and lands on her feet. She tries to hit Iyo with an exploder, but then Iyo escapes. And then Becky hits the inverted DDT. We then get a cover and a near fall, but then Becky goes for the manhandle slam, but then Iyo goes for the double stomp. At this point, we get a cover and a near fall. Once we're back from commercial break, Becky goes for a superplex off the top immediately when we come back. We get a cover and a near fall. Iyo then follows up with a German suplex, and then she goes for a second German suplex after that. We get a cover and a near fall after that, and then Becky goes for the exploder suplex. Then Becky goes to the top, but then Iyo Sky comes in. Iyo proceeds to fight off Becky, but then she hits a dropkick on Becky, taking her to the outside. We get a springboard on the middle rope. We get a springboard middle rope moonsault, or a moonsault off the middle rope with the springboard, taking out Becky to the outside, which looks fucking beautiful, by the way. Literally, my notes are so fucked up. I put springboard from the middle rope moonsault. Just put a springboard moonsault by Iyo Sky on the outside. That's what I should have put down. But Iyo Sky goes for the springboard moonsault, taking out Becky on the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, Iyo goes for the cover, and we get a near fall. Iyo then goes to the top, but then she misses the moonsault once again. Becky then tries to apply the disarmer, but then we get a bunch of roll-up reversals by both. After that, Becky goes for the manhandle slam immediately after, and we get a cover. 1, 2, 3. Becky Lynch gets the win. Overall, not a bad match between Iyo Sky and Becky Lynch. Now, it's very interesting. Now, in the final few moments, when Becky Lynch was basically calling Iyo Sky a lackey of damage control, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything plays out, because could this be a teaser of some dissension in damage control? Let's be honest with ourselves. Even though we all had high hopes for damage control in the beginning, has damage control really played out the way you want it to? I've not really been that big of a fan of damage control. If there's anything I can be honest about damage control, and this is nothing to Bayley, Iyo Sky, or Dakota Kai, but let's be honest with ourselves. I feel like damage control hasn't really been successful. And I think especially for a talent like Iyo Sky, I feel like she needs to really go into her own. We know what she is capable of. She has been a former NXT Women's Champion. She can definitely do a lot of great things. And I feel like after WrestleMania, I feel like they can possibly lead towards a solo run with Iyo Shirai. I keep still calling her Iyo Shirai because that's how I view her as. So if I call her Iyo Shirai, my apologies. I'm still not used to Iyo Sky. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. We got a video package of Bianca Belair versus Asuka at WrestleMania 39. The first of many different video packages for many different matches at WrestleMania. That's what they've been doing, building up to, of course, WrestleMania. We get a Seth Rollins backstage interview. He's asked about his WrestleMania match with Logan Paul, and this was earlier today. That's how they dubbed it. Mustafa Ali comes in, and Mustafa Ali says he needs to see the more positive side of Logan Paul, knocking him out twice. Now, Logan has millions of fans, and they can't wait about when he's going to land that one lucky punch. And Rollins should be more grateful. He needs to look at things more in a positive light. And Rollins says that he is a genius. He has a gift for him. And remember when he had the U.S. title and he was begging for a fight? Tonight is his night, and we got Mustafa Ali versus Seth Rollins on Raw. It's very weird where they're going with Mustafa Ali. You know, they're starting to give him more of a character, and I'm going to be honest. I think there can be some potential with this new character. Like, Mustafa Ali is more, I feel like he's more going the heel route, and he's having this character of like being all positive, blah, 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 do this, do that. I think it can go somewhere. I may be wrong, but I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. We got Mustafa Ali versus Seth Rollins, a relatively short match. The crowd, before the bell even rings, are singing Seth Rollins' wonderful song, and it's only a teaser of what the fuck is going to be happening at WrestleMania because 60,000 fans at SoFi Stadium are going to sing the shit out of this theme song. Fun fact, I actually attended WrestleMania 37 Night 1, and that was the night that Seth Rollins actually debuted this theme song. What a difference 2 years can make. You gotta love it. But the match starts. Both lock up. We get a right elbow by Mustafa Ali. He says he would have knocked him out, and we get a side headlock by Ali. We get a clothesline by Rollins, and then we get repeated stomps by Rollins in the corner. Ali then regains control. At this point, he's on the top, and then Rollins takes him out. We get a shot to the back of Ali by Rollins, but then Ali is upside down in the corner. And then Rollins runs to Ali in a stomp in the corner. And then Rollins runs with the stomp on Ali. We get a cover, and Seth Rollins immediately wins the match. Have I told you? This match was way too short. Not really the best match Not really the best match that Mustafa Ali and Seth Rollins are capable of working in. Because I know for a fact these guys can work like a 20-minute banger, in my opinion. But they didn't give him the time. Seth cuts a promo and talks about how in 5 days on April 1st, night 1 at WrestleMania, he finally gets his hands on Logan Paul. Logan Paul has a history of making a joke out of himself. And let me level with you. If he can beat Logan at WrestleMania, if he can't beat Logan at WrestleMania, he isn't the joke. He is that being himself. He threw him out of the Royal Rumble. He caused him the U.S. title at the Elimination Chamber. And he cheap shotted him not once, but twice. And in 5 days, it all comes back around. April 1st happens to be his birthday. Logan, the WWE Universe at WrestleMania are going to be serenading all over you all night long, says Seth Rollins. And they ain't singing happy birthday. They will all sing his song, and then the fans start singing his song once again. I don't know, man. Seth Rollins is so fucking over right now. You have to, after WrestleMania, man, they have to have some sort of plan for Seth Rollins, man. This guy should be strapped to the main event scene, in my opinion. But Jesus Christ, man, Seth Rollins is super over right now. And the closing line is, Logan Paul, I will see you at WrestleMania. And then he laughs, and the promo ends. I'm not really as much excited for Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Apparently, this is going to be Logan Paul's, I don't want to say last match, but I believe his contract is up after WrestleMania. That's what Logan Paul stated on the Impulsive podcast. But, man, I mean, even though I'm not really as excited for this match is going to be fan-fucking-tastic in my opinion, because Logan Paul, say what you want about Logan Paul, and there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't like Logan Paul. There's one thing good that you can say about Logan Paul is that Logan Paul is amazing in the ring, and he really adapted very well in the wrestling ring. Now, character-wise, I think he can work on his promos. Even as a babyface, he was super cringe. And I've always talked about when, they were headed into Crown Jewel, Logan Paul, you should be a heel in my opinion, but really his heel work hasn't really been that good. So I don't know what you do with Logan Paul character-wise, but in the ring, man, Logan Paul is completely untouchable, and he's going to have a banger match against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Here's a segment building up to one match that I'm not really excited about for WrestleMania, and that is, of course, the weigh-in between Omos and Brock Lesnar. You guys know what I think about this match happening at WrestleMania. I'm not excited. Now, is there a possibility of, us maybe, shitting all over this match and then the match happens, this match actually ends up being good? Yeah, there's a possibility. But again, and I constantly repeat myself because I just want to get the message out there. This match feels so Vince fucking McMahon. The promos that MVP cuts, feel exactly the same as the other promos that he cut the previous weeks prior. Every promo that MVP cuts putting over Omos is a specimen, blah, blah, blah. You can't out-wrestle this guy, blah, blah, blah. He says the same shit over and over again, just in different variations of sentences. And I don't know, man. This match feels like the type of match that Vince McMahon would book for a main event of a Saudi Arabia pay-per-view. I'm not joking. At least one of the first few ones. I don't know, man. This feels so Vince McMahon. I don't give a shit. I will literally, if it comes out that Triple H ended up booking this match, I will still not believe it. This match feels so Vince McMahon-ish that, like, you can just tell. But let's get on with this weigh-in segment. And we all know how weigh-ins play out. I mean, we've seen it in AEW with Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo. That shit wasn't good at all. But MVP reminds us that this is one final opportunity for all of us to see the specimen that is the Nigerian giant, Omos. He will give Brock his credit because he respects him. He stepped in the ring at WrestleMania and conquered the best. Guys like Kurt Angle, Goldberg, Roman Reigns. But he would be remiss if he didn't acknowledge the ending of the streak of The Undertaker. Unlike those men, this is a Nigerian giant. He cannot suplex or F5 him. He will not defeat him at WrestleMania. Omos then steps under the scale, and then MVP says he's over 400 pounds. And then Brock Lesnar comes out. Brock Lesnar goes immediately after Omos, and then he goes after him constantly. Basically, he's trying to shoulder tackle him constantly. He grabs the scale, but then lands into a furious boot by Omos. And then Brock Lesnar then is on the outside. And Omos literally has the scale literally up on him and just like holding it. And then Brock Lesnar's just on the outside and then he retreats. What are my thoughts on this? I mean, the physicality in this segment, especially near the end, was not bad. But again, man, I mean, even though a lot, you know, we're all probably going to like shut up after the match and like we're going to have the moment where Brock Lesnar just F5s the shit out of Omos. This is just like a match that came in out of random, in my opinion, and not in a good way. Like at this point, you know, again, is Vince McMahon in charge after this? Like this just, I said it before I went through with the promo. It just feels so Vince McMahon-ish. You know, the promos that MVP cuts sounds like, you know, Vince McMahon, you know, told him to say shit like that, or like, just the match itself, like, you know, Triple H would not book this fucking match. I'm sorry. He wouldn't book this match at all. And honestly, I felt like they should have went with the Lashley versus Brock route at WrestleMania instead of the Elimination Chamber. But again, who knows what could possibly happen in this match. I may be totally wrong after the match. But again, I will always die on that hill and say Vince McMahon orchestrated for this match to happen. I will forever die on that hill. Even if it comes out that Triple H booked this match, which I think is complete bullshit, Vince McMahon definitely had a say in this match. We got a video package of Charlotte Flair, and after that, we got a backstage interview with Rhea Ripley. She's asked about Charlotte, saying how she plans on continuing her legacy by beating her at WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley replies to that question, stating that she doesn't have to be reminded every week about how she is a 14-time women's champion. Her legacy doesn't define her legacy. She must defeat Charlotte Flair. She must become the biggest star in this industry. She needs Charlotte's title to do all of that. And when it comes to Charlotte's destiny, it comes out to Charlotte's destiny from her legacy. And she can't stop her from becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania. And then we get a cool-ass video package of Finn Balor basically building up to his match against Edge inside Hell in a Cell. And I'm very excited. Now, apparently, I believe the source was PW Insider, but apparently for Finn Balor versus Edge at WrestleMania, the Hell in a Cell structure is finally no longer going to be red. Hallelujah, because if there's anything that you can say negative about Vince McMahon and him running things in creative in WWE was the way how they just treated Hell in a Cell. Like, Hell in a Cell, when it became a pay-per-view, really, I felt like the last good Hell in a Cell that really played into a story so well, in my opinion. Well, there's many that happened in the last couple of years, like Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. I believe it was at Clash of Champions. You know, we had Cody versus Seth, but like really, in my opinion, the definition of a true blow-off inside Hell in a Cell. I don't even want to call it a blow-off, but Triple H versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 28 is arguably one of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches, if not one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. And I feel like this match that's going to be happening at WrestleMania, I'm not going to say it's going to top that, because like nobody's going to fucking top that. But I mean, it's going to be a great match overall. And the fact that we're finally getting like the red Hell in a Cell structure is amazing to me, because Vince McMahon and WWE Creative completely devalued the Hell in a Cell, not just because of the color of the stage, of the structure, not because of the color of the structure. That's one of the reasons, but because of the fact that it wasn't really treated as seriously as it should have been, in my opinion. And with Triple H, they want to change that, and they're definitely changing that with this match, and I'm 100% excited to see what they're going to be doing. But Finn Balor cuts this promo and says, "Don't you know that there's nothing more dangerous than a caged demon? So Edge, go to your dark place. Do whatever you need to do to unlock it, but just remember, he doesn't suck his demons. His demons are always here." And then it shows a photo, not a photo, but like, just some CGI of his own demon, kind of similar to what he had when he first came into the main roster and when he was in NXT. Very similar stuff. I love that they're doing Brood Edge versus the demon. It is going to be fucking epic, in my opinion. I believe the rumor was that Gangrel was going to come out with Edge, apparently, which is going to be awesome as well, because Edge, when he started to do the thing with Christian, they did do the Brood stuff, which is going to be awesome. But overall, man, it's going to be fantastic to see what they do in the Hell in a Cell match. We have an 8-man tag team match. We got Braun Strowman and Ricochet and the Street Profits taking on Alpha Academy and the Viking Raiders. So we got a mixture of Raw talent and SmackDown talent. Even though I wasn't really into this, I don't want to say I wasn't into this match, even though I didn't really care about what was going on in this match, because all they were doing, in my opinion, was just killing dime. This match was actually pretty good. I loved the chemistry that some guys had with one another. Chad Gable was fantastic. Ricochet was great. Montez Ford was fucking phenomenal, and the finish of the match was fantastic as well. But we got a side headlock. We got a bunch of side headlock takeover reversals by both Chad Gable and Angelo Dawkins. We got an arm drag by Dawkins, followed by an arm drag by Gable. Dawkins goes to the outside, or I should say he is on the outside. Ricochet then comes in. Gable then counters Ricochet into the ankle lock, but then Ricochet escapes. Ricochet then goes for a drop kick, but then Braun Strowman makes the tag. We get a double team attempt by both Ricochet and Braun. Montez Ford tags in, but then we get a bunch of arm drag reversals by Gable and Ford. We get a bunch of cover reversals. After that, we get a backhand by Ford. At this point, everybody faces off with one another, and then a brawl breaks loose. Ivar, Otis, and Strowman are in the ring. Ford immediately goes for a frog splash once we're back from break. The Raiders go after Montez Ford. We get a cover and a near fall. At this point, Otis is the legal man, but then he hits the running elbow drop on Montez Ford. We get a kick by Ford, followed by a knee. Ford then goes for the enziguri, but then Ford tags Dawkins. He goes after everyone, but then we get a spinning back elbow. He continues to work on Ivar, but then the Raiders regain control. We then get a cover by Ivar and a near fall when Ricochet goes for the running shooting star press. He then goes after everyone, and then Gable runs into a right by Dawkins. Braun Strowman makes the tag. He basically runs through everybody on the outside. He goes after Otis, and then he goes after Gable and Ivar as well. After that, once we're back in the ring, Eric regains control. Strowman then goes for the spinebuster, but then Ricochet makes the tag. We get a slam by Strowman, and then we get a senton off the shoulders of Braun Strowman by Ricochet. And then Ford jumps over Strowman off the top, hitting a beautiful fucking frog splash. We get a cover by Ford, and the babyfaces get the win. Overall, this was great. I loved this match, even though I didn't really care as much for it, because I thought this was definitely used to kill time, especially because of the fact that they used a couple of SmackDown talent. Definitely, this match was great overall. We get a Cody Rhodes backstage interview. The American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes talks about how he didn't put himself in a vulnerable position. He lives for this position. Solo hasn't been pinned or submitted. Do they think they have a chance against Solo, or does he have a chance against Roman Reigns at Mania? He follows up and says, why is this so important? And why is he wrestling the Enforcer? 6 days away from the big one. Because they know the answer to this question. Has Cody earned it? The fire didn't start when he returned last year. He not only earned it, he lived it. Solo finds out why he isn't ready, and at WrestleMania, he defeats Roman Reigns and becomes the undisputed Universal Champion. Great promo by Cody Rhodes. We get a video package of Bianca Belair after that. And then we get a pre-taped promo segment by Austin Theory in an empty arena. Overall, this was a great promo by Austin Theory. Now, a lot of people, including myself, talked about how after John Cena basically verbally destroyed him, he verbally murdered this dude on the microphone a couple of weeks ago on Raw, that Austin Theory was not going to recover. After this promo, Austin Theory is going to be a star in the making. Now, is he there yet? No, he's not. But one thing I will say is losing the Money in the Bank briefcase was probably the best thing to ever happen to Austin Theory, because when Vince McMahon was running things and they put the fucking Money in the Bank on Austin Theory, they literally put that shit on him way too early. And him with the U.S. title and him having this match with John Cena is definitely a step in the right direction for the career of Austin Theory. And I think after this promo that he cut, he's going to have a fire match with John Cena. Not only that, this match is actually going to be opening WrestleMania on night one. So I'm excited for that, man. The fact that John Cena and Austin Theory are opening goes to show you what they're going to be doing. But to basically summarize what he stated in that promo, he says this Saturday, he loses everything, according to John Cena. He thought he exposed him on this microphone, but he didn't. He exposed himself. The one thing he can't see is the future right in front of his eyes. He tries to hit him with the reality check. It's probably why he's in this arena alone. But there's no difference to him being inside of a sold-out stadium or an empty arena. He doesn't do this to be the next John Cena. He does this for him. He had a purpose before anyone had an opinion on him. And it's sad to know why he would have let him down that road. And it's sad to know that he would have had to let him go down that road. He made this personal. Everyone looks up to him. He will be looking up to him. And that ain't a theory. He will make him believe in him. And the WWE Universe will stop believing in him. And they will start to believe in him. And that was basically the gist of his whole promo. Overall, Austin Theory, man, I remember when they first paired him as like Vince McMahon's like, lackey, kind of like, he's his right-hand man or like special, like, next star and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing with this guy? And then all of a sudden, fast forward 2 years later to see where Austin Theory is now. Austin Theory is a fantastic heel in my opinion. And he's only going to get better because he's going to beat John Cena. There's no fucking way John Cena is going to win that match. But once he beats John Cena, it's just going straight to the moon for Austin Theory, and he's going to have a fantastic career ahead of him, in my opinion. This promo, I don't want to say solidified him, but this promo definitely, increased his stock as, a possible, main event guy, because you can definitely see that in Austin Theory. Austin Theory is the definition of a future main event star. He's not ready now, but he will get there. And definitely he quickened those chances, and he's going to get there much faster than before. The position that Triple H put him in was the best decision that they could have done for Austin Theory. We got Chrlsea Green and Sonya Deville taking on Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. No reaction whatsoever. Nobody cared about this match at all. We get a dropkick by Mia Yim. We get a boot by Mia Yim. She missed a cannonball into the corner. Chrlsea tags in. We get a slap by Chrlsea into the corner. We get a couple of body shots. We got a double suplex attempt by Sonya and Chrlsea Green, but then Mia hits a double neck breaker. Candice then goes for the crossbody, but then we get a senton by Candice. After that, Mia Yim makes the tag. We get a double team by the babyfaces. We get a cover engineer fall when Sonya makes the save. We get a dropkick by Mia Yim, but then Green hits the unprettier, a.k.a. the kill switch. We get a cover, and Chrlsea Green and Sonya Deville wins the match. Nothing really special in this match overall. Who cares? The crowd was dead. No disrespect to the women there. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Did they really do anything? No, they really didn't. Paul Heyman is in a backstage interview, and he talks about how He walks through the shadow of the island of relevancy. Cody fears no tribal chief because Cody Rhodes is not ready. He approved it a few minutes ago when he asked why is it so important to fight Solo Sikoa. It's relevant. Here's why. Because Solo is ready to weaken Cody Rhodes for his match against Roman Reigns. Solo isn't here to compete. He is here to put a beating on Cody so he will not be 100%. Roman Reigns is ready to strike to those depths and rise to remain the tribal chief. That is the difference between him and Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns is ready from being the top dog into being the tribal chief. Cody Rhodes has never been ready. Never ready to fill the shoes of Dusty Rhodes. Not even ready to defeat the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Cody needs to be ready to take the beating by Solo Sikoa and then take the emotional baggage when he faces off with Roman Reigns. The only thing he will be ready is to lose to Roman Reigns and then be ready for the greatest moment of his existence in the glory of his own defeat. Be ready to acknowledge your tribal chief in the main event this Sunday at WrestleMania. Great promo by Paul Heyman. Always knows how to put over a match, man. You gotta love it. Dominic then cuts a promo. Of course, Damian Priest is going to be wrestling Rey Mysterio. And Dominic of the Judgment Day cuts a promo before Damian Priest's match. And this was a fantastic promo by Dominic Mysterio. Dominic, he states, it takes a real lowlife to hit your own child. He thought he was a deadbeat then. He is now really a deadbeat. Everyone saw the video of him attacking him. And after Damian beats him tonight and he humiliates him at WrestleMania, everyone will know what a failure of a father he really is. And then he shows the footage of what happened last Friday on SmackDown. His mom and his sister, he states, never supported him. Of course, he's talking about what happened was Rey Mysterio. He basically yelled at his own mother, and Rey Mysterio just immediately went off the fences. He talks about how his mom and his sister never supported him. And he speaks in Spanish. Dominic speaks in Spanish. And I could translate this. He stated, they always chose their dad's side. He is more taller and he is more handsome. And he basically speaks all in Spanish. What kind of a father hits his own son? What mother sits there and does nothing? The silence was defining. He should have told her to shut up a long time ago. Dad, he's never said this out loud, but he wishes Eddie was his real father and he never existed because his entire family is a disgrace to the Mysterio name. The Mysterio name will be his at WrestleMania. Jesus Christ. This is the second time Dominic basically stated that he wishes that Eddie was his own father. Holy shit. I don't know about you guys, but Rey Mysterio versus Dominic is probably my second match. Well, actually, no. Because I'm excited for the tag team match and, of course, the main event. But this is like the third match that I'm actually genuinely really excited about. If there is one match that has been built fantastically well as we were headed near to WrestleMania, it's Dominic versus Rey. The build up to this match was absolutely fantastic. I remember all of the doubts, including myself, when Dominic was first placed into Judgment Day. A lot of people, including myself, were saying this shit's not going to work. Look where we are a couple of months later. Dominic has adapted well in Judgment Day. The promos that he's starting to cut have started to become much better and better and better as we go week by week as we're headed near WrestleMania. And the heat that Dominic is generating during this whole build has been in-fucking-sane. Dominic is fantastic. The shit that he be saying, I mean, I don't know about you guys. It is fucked up, but, I mean, Jesus Christ, if you need to generate heel heat, you got to go to the lowest of lows sometimes. And Dominic is definitely doing that. And Dominic is adapting very well in Judgment Day. The match that he's going to have with Rey Mysterio is going to be one to remember. And not only that, in my opinion, this is going to be one of those emotional matches. In my opinion. Is this going to be Rey Mysterio's last match? Hell no. Even if he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I do not see this being Rey Mysterio's last match. But damn, man. Again, this match is going to be super, 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 super emotional. But that's my thoughts on that. We got Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest. Rey Mysterio goes for a running bulldog. He goes to the top, and then he hits a senton. After that, we get a drop kick by Rey, and then we get a springboard moonsault. We get a cover and a near fall. We then get a springboard countered by Damian Priest, and then Priest face plants Rey down to the mat. We get a cover by Priest and a near fall, and then Priest misses the big boot. After that, Rey goes after him, but then Rey runs into a lariat by Priest after trying to go for the 619. We then get a cover and a near fall. Priest takes Rey to the top, and then he takes Rey, but then Rey fights back. Rey goes for a Hurricane Rana followed by a dropkick, and then he goes for the 619 after that, but then he goes to the top, and then Dominic comes in and causes a DQ. He hits repeated rights on Rey Mysterio. Then Priest holds on to Rey. Dominic goes for repeated rights, hitting his own father. And then what happens? Legado del Fantasma come in for the save, and that was that. Now, what role is Legado del Fantasma going to be playing? I have no idea. But I love the chemistry of Legado del Fantasma and Rey Mysterio. I think there's a lot of potential in that duo. But man, again, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic is one of those matches that I'm genuinely excited about for WrestleMania because I thought the build-up has been fan-fucking-tastic in my opinion. I'm very much excited for this match. We got Gunther making a rare appearance as the IC champion on Raw, and he faces off with Dolph Ziggler. We get a dropkick by Dolph. Gunther takes him down. We get a couple of right hands by Dolph, but then Gunther blocks a super kick. We get a chop by Gunther, followed by an uppercut. He takes Dolph Ziggler to the top, but then he drives his boot onto the back of the head of Dolph Ziggler. Once we're back from break, Dolph fights back against Gunther. Dolph then goes for the Famouser, but then we get a cover by Dolph and a near fall. Dolph then takes Gunther for the zigzag, but then gets caught. He lands into a chop in midair by Gunther, and then he hits the German suplex. And then Gunther powerbombs Dolph Ziggler. And then he picks up Dolph and drops him down to the mat, and we get a cover. And Gunther wins the match. Then he cuts a promo. Talks about how he was being forced to defend against both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. And he says, have a look, pointing to a defeated Dolph Ziggler. And he says, this is the fate that will await them at WrestleMania. Now, who should win in the triple threat? Now, a lot of people are saying Gunther should retain the IC title and go on a complete undefeated streak at WrestleMania. A lot of people are genuinely saying he should win at WrestleMania and Gunther should go on in an undefeated streak at WrestleMania. I believe Gunther should lose because originally this match, in a lot of fans' eyes, was supposed to be Sheamus versus Gunther, and a lot of people thought that Sheamus should be the guy to beat Gunther at WrestleMania. That's still possibly the case, and it would make total sense for either Drew McIntyre or Sheamus to be the Intercontinental Champion. The reason why I say those guys should win is because of the fact that if you really think about it long term down the line for this year, I genuinely believe Gunther is going to be a world champion, a WWE champion by the end of this year. I genuinely believe that. And if Cody Rhodes wins at WrestleMania, I think, they shouldn't book that match. If Cody Rhodes is the champion, they shouldn't book that match immediately. They should wait at least up till the fall when Cody Rhodes eventually drops the belt to Gunther. I think Gunther is going to be a solidified main eventer by the end of this year because he's done everything that he has done with the Intercontinental title. He has made that championship so much more important than it was when Vince McMahon was in charge, and that was one of the positives in the Triple H regime. They made the Intercontinental Championship so much better and way more important, especially with a guy like Gunther holding that title. And I think Gunther winning the WWE Championship this year is definitely a possibility, and I think that is the direction that they should be going. So I think Gunther should lose at WrestleMania, and Sheamus or Drew McIntyre, I believe Sheamus should win in my opinion, but it doesn't matter. Either or, this match is going to be fantastic, and I'm absolutely excited. Cody Rhodes taking on Solo Sikoa in the main event. Both lock up. We get a side headlock by Cody, followed by a shoulder tackle. We get a kick by Cody, followed by a right. Solo then goes for the right hand, followed by a drop kick. We get a couple of right hands by Cody on Solo Sikoa. We get a Samoan drop immediately by Solo. Cody Rhodes then goes to the top, or the outside, I should say. Solo's in control over Cody, but then Cody sends Solo to the steel steps. Cody then drives the knee of Solo onto the ring post. He then tries to go for the disaster kick, but then Solo hits a belly-to-belly suplex. And then Solo drives Cody, landing him onto the announce table, but then Cody sends him face first on the table repeatedly. After that, Cody Rhodes goes for a couple of repeated rights. Cody's in the ring. He goes for the tope suicida, but then he gets caught, and Solo hits a belly-to-belly dive, driving Cody onto the table. Then the table does not break, of course. Solo then drives Cody onto the announce table once again. Solo's in control. Once we're back from break, Cody tries to pick up Solo, but then Solo goes for a splash into the corner. Solo goes for repeated rights once again, but then Cody picks him up and drops him face first. We get a headbutt by Solo Sikoa, but then Cody Rhodes goes for the shoulder tackle. We then get a power slam by Cody, followed by the disaster kick. After that, Cody Rhodes goes for the Cody Cutter. After that, he takes Solo and hits the crossroads after that. We get a cover by Cody and a near fall when Solo gets his foot onto the bottom rope. Then we get a couple of stomps by Cody on Solo, but then Cody goes to the top. He misses the moonsault, and then we get a headbutt by Solo. Solo misses the Samoan spike. We get the Cody Cutter by Cody once again. But what happens? Jimmy and Jey Uso come out. After that, Solo goes for the super kick, and then he plants him down to the mat. We get a cover, and Cody kicks out. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come in, and then they attack the Usos. Cody Rhodes gets caught by Solo, but then Solo misses the Samoan spike after that. And then Cody Rhodes goes for the crossroads, and we get a cover. And Cody Rhodes gets the win with a disappointed look on the face of Paul Heyman. And he immediately calls the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. What the fuck is going to be happening? Overall, pretty good match by Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. Realistically, we're going to be waiting to see what happens on SmackDown this coming Friday, because I believe they are going to be going face-to-face, that being both Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. But overall, not a bad match to close off Raw, in my opinion. Overall thoughts on this show. This was not a bad show overall. I mean, it was not really, was it the best show? No, there was some duds on this show, in my opinion. But overall, this wasn't a bad show. Could I say this was the best go-home Raw before WrestleMania? Absolutely not. I feel like this go-home show could have been booked so much better, but if you really think about it, the true go-home show is going to be on SmackDown, and we got a lot of things happening on that SmackDown show as well anyway. So, honestly, nothing really special happened on this show. A lot of the special things are going to be happening on the SmackDown show, but again, I thought this Raw was not really the best, but it was okay. But overall, that was Raw from March 27th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. I'm on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. Peace.